Maybe you didn't fall apart loudly. Maybe you didn't cry where people could see. Maybe you didn't ask for help. Maybe you simply broke quietly, inside, not because you were strong, but because you didn't feel safe enough to fall apart. So you held yourself together. You kept showing up. You kept functioning. He kept breathing through the weight. And maybe you're listening right now, because something inside you has been quietly coming undone. Listen. Some breakings are silent. They don't announce themselves. They don't demand attention. They happen in the places you never learned how to talk about. You broke quietly. When expectations became heavier than hope, you broke quietly. When you kept giving and stopped being refilled, you broke quietly. When disappointment piled up and you told yourself, just keep going. And while no one saw it happening, God did. Psalm 34:18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted." Not only the ones who collapse publicly, but the ones who hold themselves together while breaking internally. Listen. There were moments you felt yourself slipping emotionally, but you couldn't stop. Moments when your heart felt fragile, yet life demanded strength. Moments when you realized you were carrying more than you were meant to carry, but didn't know how to put it down. So you adapted. You adjusted. You survived. But survival came at a cost. A heaviness settled in your chest. A tiredness followed you everywhere. A quiet sadness lived beneath your routines, and still you kept going. There is a kind of tired, and that sleep doesn't fix. Because it's not in your body. It's in your soul. You wake up already carrying weight. Not from today, but from everything you never had space to release. You learned how to be responsible with pain, how to tuck it away, how to keep moving without asking why your heart feels heavier than it should. And sometimes you wonder if this tiredness is just who you are now, if this quiet heaviness is something you'll always live with. Listen. That question matters, because God never intended for endurance to replace healing. Listen. You didn't break because you lacked faith. You broke because you cared deeply. You broke because you loved sincerely. You broke because you hoped honestly. You broke because you endured longer than most people ever. See, God never misunderstood your breaking. He never mistook your silence for distance. He never confused your exhaustion with weakness. While you were trying to keep the pieces together, God was already holding the ones you couldn't. Listen. There are pieces of you that fell apart slowly. Your sense of safety, your confidence, your joy, your trust. Not all at once. Little by little. And you barely noticed, because breaking quietly feels like becoming numb. But God noticed. He noticed the nights your mind refused to rest. He noticed the way Your heart tightened. When you remembered certain moments, He noticed a way. You kept telling yourself, I'm fine. Even when you weren't. Psalms 56:8 says, You have collected all my tears in your bottle, even the ones that never fell from your eyes, even the ones that stayed trapped inside your chest. Listen, some pieces broke when you were disappointed by people you trusted. Some pieces broke when prayers took longer to be answered. Some pieces broke when you realized that being strong all the time was slowly draining you, and you didn't know how to explain it. So you stayed quiet. But God never needed an explanation. He knew the exact moment you reached your limit. He knew the moment you whispered inside, I can't do this like this anymore. And He stepped in. Not loudly, not dramatically, but faithfully. Listen, God does not wait for you to fall apart publicly. Before He moves in secret. He moves in silence. He moves in the background. While you are simply trying to make it through the day, Isaiah 41:10 says, Do not fear, for I am with you. I will strengthen you and help you. Not after everything is fixed. Not when you feel strong again. Right in the middle of your breaking. Listen. Some of the healing God is doing in you is happening beneath the surface. You may not feel suddenly better. You may not feel instantly lighter, but you are steadier. You're calmer. You're less reactive. You're breathing more freely. Those are signs that God has been holding you together. Even when you felt like you were coming apart, healing does not always announce itself. Sometimes it shows up as restraint instead of reaction, as calm where panic used to live, a silence that no longer feels empty. And you may not celebrate these changes because they feel small. But heaven does not measure healing the way we do. What feels subtle to you is sacred progress to God. Listen. If you're still standing, still hoping, still listening, then something holy is already happening inside you. Listen. The pieces you couldn't hold were never meant to be held by you alone. God took the weight you couldn't carry anymore. He held the memories you didn't know how to process. He held the emotions you didn't have words for. He held the parts of you that felt too fragile to touch, and He is still holding them now. Listen. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are healing in a way that protects your heart. God is restoring you without reopening wounds violently. He is rebuilding gently, piece by piece, layer by layer. Psalm 147:3 says, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Binding happens carefully. Healing happens patiently. Listen. One day, you will realize that the breaking did not destroy you. It softened you. It refined you. It taught you what truly matters. And it led you to depend on God in ways you never had to before. The pieces you couldn't hold became the very places where God revealed His faithfulness. Listen. You may still feel tired. You may still feel tender. But you're not alone. God is holding you in ways you cannot yet see. He is steadying your heart. He is restoring your strength. He is protecting what remains fragile. And He is not letting you fall apart. Because even when you broke quietly inside, God held the pieces you couldn't. God saw your breaking. He carried what you could not. And He is healing you carefully and faithfully. If this message spoke to your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, so this devotional can reach someone who feels like they're holding on quietly right now. And if you feel led, comment, "God is holding me together." May His peace find you today.